All information given in this episode is for educational purposes and should not be tried prior to consulting a licensed physician and or certified state or accrediting bodies. We encourage all listeners to research, talk, and make all inquiries to all of the important professionals and governing bodies before acting on any information heard on the De La Fit podcast. Any action taken by any listener is done by and under their own omission and action, whether conscious to the results, positive or not.
Tuned in to the De La Fit podcasts, 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health, all in one podcast.
Hello, everyone. You are listening to De La Fit podcast with today. It's Jamila B. Now, I know most of you guys are used to Sun Moon, but in honor of Women's International Month, Sun Moons has let a lovely host of women basically host podcast, and today I'm your first one. So I have the honor of interviewing Kristen Bowman, who is the founder of Living the Good Life Naturally. She considers herself a magnesium advocate, which we're going to get more into. So hello, welcome, Kristen.
Jamila, it's so nice to be here. Thank you. How exciting that you're the first one.
I am.
You're leading the way.
And you're the first person I'm interviewing, so I am super excited to have you here. So as we know, it is Women's International Month, and March 8th was Women's International Day. So I just think it's great that I'm going to be interviewing you. You have your own business, and it's about natural products, which is my personal favorite. So I'm looking forward to learning more about it. So I just want to start off. Can you tell us a little bit of Living the Good Life Naturally? What is it?
So Living the Good Life Naturally started out of my own personal health crash. And I've said this so many times, but I truly experience this every time payroll comes around. And I never intended to create a business. It wasn't my goal. I didn't think, I want to start this business. It literally did its own thing. And then I realized I need to be in front of this, making some decisions so I'm in charge instead of it running me. And it came out of my desire to really put some order to the chaos that had happened in my life from my own personal health crash. Mm-hmm. And in helping other people, I found that it helped me on my own personal journey make some sense out of that horrific health crash that cost my family so much in that 3.5 years that I was just completely out of it. And so in helping somebody else, it helped me really find that ultimate healing in putting some puzzle pieces together personally. And I love being a part of someone else's journey. And I just still consider it such a privilege when I get to be on that journey with them and sharing any insight or wisdom that I've learned over the last 20 years and going from seizures and wheelchairs and numerous autoimmune to what I experience now, which I wake up in the morning and I go all day long, and those autoimmune do not stop me or slow me down. And to be able to do that, to go from where I was to where I'm at now, I have pinch me, my life is real moments.
Wow. It must be amazing to be able to help people from something that occurred to you and to help people release what they're going through. And the topic we're talking about today is pain to passion. So I'm going to make a guess that the pain you're talking about is the health crises that you have. Do you mind talking a little bit more of what you were
experiencing? Of course. So I had a surgery that was done, and the surgery, there was issues. There was cadaver graft that was bought off market, and so it had mold when they put that cadaver graft in to correct some bladder issues that I was having. And then I also had an allergic reaction to titanium. But I think is what I find really interesting is the patterns that I learned from that health crash and that I was able to apply to really turn that around are the same patterns that my husband utilized recently when he had a surprise double amputation and lost both legs below his knees. And so to those viewers who are listening right now, it really doesn't matter what you're experiencing, what your heart is. And I think it's really easy to compare my heart to your heart. But when we do that, we discount our own experience because heart is hard, whether it's double amputation, whether it's a surgery, whether it's family issues, whether it's the loss of a job, whether it's stress from a relationship. Hard is hard, and our body experiences that increased inflammation and a decrease of magnesium that walks us away from being healthy. And so I think when we learn and understand those patterns, we can put those and apply those to anything that's happening in our life to walk us toward optimal health, even during that hard time.
Wow, thank you. So before your health crisis, were you looking into holistic ways of healing?
Not at all. No, I was completely closed off to that. I was raised in a very Western medical home. You did what the doctor said. But I found myself in the experience that it wasn't working. And I think there are amazing people within Western medical. There are some amazing, dedicated people, and even they will tell you the system is broken. And right now there's research out there that will take 20 years to trickle down. And I didn't have 20 more years to lose. And so taking more responsibility and taking more accountability for my health and realizing I don't need to wait until the doctor tells me to do something, that I can take more responsibility for my health was not anything that I had done before. I really laid too much responsibility on the doctor.
Wow. And so when you were going on this journey of more of a holistic means for healing, did you receive any pushback from loved ones or friends or even doctors when you started to tell them what you were trying to explore?
Oh, absolutely, I did. And at that point, and this is where active gratitude comes into play and is one of those patterns I think it's so important for people to learn how to apply, in that at that point, I was so sick and we had lost so much. You know, I don't even have memories of my youngest daughter learning how to walk or talk or any of those mile points that those little ones make. I have no memory of that. And you can't replace that. There's no amount of money that can kick that back in and replace it. And so the loss was deep. And I was in such a place of desperation. It put me at a point I didn't care what other people thought, because we had been there for so long and I was so ill. And so the benefit and my gratitude now for that is I'm grateful I was at that point, because I think I would have let that stop me if it wouldn't have been as extreme as it was. I would have allowed, you know, what my mom thought. There's a part of me I love my mom and I want to be a good daughter and a supportive daughter. And I would have allowed that judgment of do what the doctor says and don't do that crazy stuff. I would have let that stop me. But because I was so sick and so desperate, I didn't care what anybody else thought.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Now, on your website, it says you're a magnesium advocate. I'm sure most of us heard what magnesium is, but maybe not everyone knows the benefits or what it does. Can you explain a little bit about it, since you
absolutely
so much?
Magnesium does not cure everything, but it is where everything started to go off. And so understanding that we have so much power that we're able to control the minerals in our body and how we utilize them. So for example, when your stress levels go up, if you don't take action and change your breathing, change your thoughts, you will continue to lose magnesium out through your urine. When cortisol goes up, magnesium goes out. And so really empowering women and helping them understand the way they breathe, the thoughts they think, the foods they eat, control their magnesium status. And again, magnesium does not cure everything, but it is needed to put everything into place. And so once you understand that and you recognize that life isn't happening to you, but for you, that changes your mineral status in your body. And so understanding that is crucial. And then upgrading magnesium in that synthetic oral magnesium is not going to get you to cell saturation. And that's my goal with magnesium, is that every cell is surrounded by magnesium. And we can't do that through oral synthetic magnesium. And so soaking in magnesium has become my passion. And as you see women, in fact, this morning I was on my Facebook page leaving some comments, and a woman got on and she said, my gosh, I haven't soaked for a couple weeks and my symptoms are starting to come back. So she's starting to understand her burn rate. She has to soak more than once every 3 weeks because her burn rate, she's pushing that magnesium out and she needs to replenish that. And so she's starting to understand how often she needs to soak, and how often I need to soak, and how often you need to soak is different because each of us have our own life experience and our own ability to hold on or push out that magnesium. And so being a part of that and helping a woman understand her individual magnesium burn rate is just, it excites me. I geek out over it.
Thank you. Oh no, I never knew about that. So when you say soaking in magnesium, is it what I'm imagining, like putting your feet in like a tub with water with magnesium? Or?
You do. You take a liquid magnesium and you can soak your feet in it, or you can put it in the bathtub. We have done tons of testing because I wanted it to be the most efficient. I'm a grandmother of 6 and I have lots of things I want to do with those grandbabies. Mm-hmm. And so I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing to create health, I am using my time and utilizing it at optimal levels. And so we tried soaking in the tub versus just soaking your feet, and we found there was no difference. Mm-hmm. Is what you needed was 20 minutes minimum to uptake that magnesium. And so you put it in water, you use a 1/4 cup of the magnesium and soak your feet, or use a 1/4 cup and soak your whole body. Both are as efficient to get that magnesium in through your skin.
What's going on, everybody? It's Philly's #1 son. Listen, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's a creation tool that allows you how to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a stunning podcast in one place. So listen, if you want to be like me and have your own podcast, go to anchor.com. That's anchor.com.
Right. So you mentioned the magnesium burn rate. I just wanted some more clarification of like what that is and how does the body burn magnesium? Because this is just still a new concept for me. Okay. Would you be able to explain that more?
Yeah, absolutely. So when think of the last time you got stressed, Jamelia. When was the last time? When did you experience stress?
Good, just yesterday.
Okay. And what happened? And as you experience that stress, if you don't step in to do something to change your cortisol levels, you can continue to lose magnesium, because when your cortisol levels go up, your magnesium levels go out through your urine. So let's say the stress hits and you immediately start your breathing. You really open up your breathing and increase your oxygen levels. And remember, everything's going to work out. When you do that, you change your mineral status in that your cortisol levels come down and your body quits pushing that magnesium out through your urine. Another way that you can do that is by creating active gratitude and thinking, what am I grateful for right now? One of the things that I do is when a hard situation happens, I've learned now, the older I get, I didn't used to have this perspective, but the older I get and the more life happens, the more I realize those things that I deem so hard are actually beautiful gifts for me to learn to become the person that I am meant to be. And so when that hard thing happens, and I'll take my husband's example because he did this beautifully. He had below the knee amputation on both legs. That's an incredible loss. Now, he experienced the loss. He also experienced incredible gratitude for the people around him who helped take care of him. Those nurses, those physical therapists, those CNNs. The one day I walked into the rehab, he was in the rehab hospital at this point, and it was like a party in his room. And I said to the one CNN, what is going on? And she said, oh, he's our favorite person to hang out with because he's always telling us thank you. We just love to come in here. And because he had gratitude for what they were doing for him, he created an atmosphere of a party, even though he's laying in a rehab hospital learning how to use the bathroom with no legs. Now, that doesn't mean and negate that he had a hard thing going on, but along the way, he found those things to be grateful for. And it was for those CNNs and those physical therapists and those nurses and those phlebotomists. He was so grateful for their care and for that human interaction that kept coming to his bedside. And so because of that, he took a hard situation and he found something to create in that situation to lift not only himself, but other people. And in the process of doing that, he held on to his magnesium instead of laying there being a beast, being ornery and mean or rude, and even upping his magnesium level, his stress levels higher. He focused on the beautiful things. And in doing so, he held on to that magnesium. And that magnesium is crucial for your vitamin D levels. If you have low vitamin D, you had to have low magnesium before you got low vitamin D. And so recognizing how powerful we really are in literally holding on to our mineral status is something I want every person to experience.
Wow, thank you. Especially when you mentioned the low vitamin D, I feel like I can speak for almost the world that with a lot of people who are in lockdown, they're probably not getting as much of that. So would that also affect the magnesium level too?
So sunshine is crucial for vitamin D. You need that sunshine, but you need magnesium to help convert that into your vitamin D. And that's what magnesium does. You know, I live here in Morro Bay, right on the coast, the Central California coast by the ocean, and we love it. It's beautiful. And I love to drive. I've got a little Volkswagen that has a convertible top, and I love to get my little Volkswagen and drive down Highway 1. It's just de-stressing to me. I can get in that car and it can have gasoline, it can have all the things that it needs, but if the spark plugs are bad, nothing's going to connect, and my little drive down Highway 1 is not going to happen. That's how magnesium is in your body. You can have all of the omegas that you need for optimal hormone balance, but if you don't have enough magnesium to connect the hormones to those omega-3s, it's not going to happen. If you don't have enough magnesium to help your T4 convert to T3 for your thyroid, it's not going to happen. So magnesium becomes the spark plug that connects everything happening in your body. And again, it's so important. I don't want people to think it heals everything. It doesn't, but it is the connection piece to put the pieces back together to get you feeling better.
That's amazing. Thank you. I'm learning so much from you. But I just love the story that you told about how your husband just practiced gratitude. And sometimes you don't hear, you hear about how to heal yourself, but you don't hear about what to do for your mentally or just for your soul, actually. So, and how did you just make that connection, just to incorporate both of those worlds?
I made that connection when I was a little girl watching my mom. My mom had a really hard experience. She was recently divorced and had gone back into the job market, which she had never done. And she was feeling incredibly inadequate and still had 2 children to take care of and to raise. And ideally, she just wanted to be home with us. So it was not how she had planned her life. And she was in an accident, and it was a horrific accident. The life of a young girl was taken, and it was horrible. And I thought at the time it was going to rip her apart, the agony and the pain. And I recognized as a little girl, and I watched the things that my mom did to keep her family together and to keep moving forward. And it wasn't the words that she said. I don't remember that. It was the patterns that she applied. And those patterns cemented deep into my heart and my soul. And watching my mom apply those patterns of gratitude, of getting up every morning, even though it was hard, on loving the people that she was fiercely attached to, and making sure that our needs were taken care of as a family. Watching those patterns helped me apply those patterns later on in my life when my own personal heart came into play.
Oh, what a gift to have that lesson so young, but being able to now share that with people who may not have experienced that. I think that's a wonderful thing. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to learn more about how you started as an entrepreneur, because I know you started because of your experiences with your health, but what made you start living the good life naturally?
So I think I was a closeted entrepreneur from a young child, but I just never had a name for it. So I can remember when my kids were in like junior high, elementary ages, and they were wanting to earn some money and the whole lemonade stand. And I'm like, oh, we could do better than that. And so but myself included, we created this little company, and they used to make lollipops. And they would make lollipops and they would go sell them. Well, we got into the scents and the colors, and we'd make special colors. And a lady came to the kids and said, hey, I have a wedding coming up. Can you make this scent and this color for me to give to everyone? And so my kids came home and said, Mom, we have to make 1,000 suckers. How much do we charge her for that many lollipops? And all of the things that my kids learned, and we planned and we budgeted, and, we figured out our suppliers and our sourcing. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. At the time, I didn't realize that I was the one who had that entrepreneurial heart. I was really just trying to teach them and saw an opportunity. I think through entrepreneurship, you can teach a child so many things, like incredible amounts of math and courage and planning and budgeting and writing and marketing and so many different things you can teach through that entrepreneurial journey. But that was my first taste. And so then fast forward to when people started coming to me and saying, hey, I'm seeing that you are feeling better, you're healthier. My sister is having this struggle and she's tried this. And I'd be like, oh, no, don't do that. That's a waste of time. Have her try this, do that. And my husband finally came to me and said, Kristen, I love the fact that you are making a difference and helping people. But when you say yes to them, you're saying no to us, and we missed you. And it was one of those moments. And I realized that I needed to set better boundaries, and I needed to be realistic about my time and what I could give and what I couldn't give, because my family had lost me for that 3.5 years. And, when you take a teenage boy who hasn't had a mom for 3.5 years, and then all of a sudden he's got this mom telling him what to do, there was some pushback there. They were very resistant to having a mother who was concerned about how they washed dishes again. And so I realized is what I was doing is I was feeling like a failure coming back to being a mom. And clients were helping me feel like a success again. Yeah. And so it created an imbalance in my life, because as I felt like a failure over here, I focused more over here. And it was my husband who helped me realize that was happening. And so that's when we decided, okay, I need to charge people for the time that I'm putting into the research and the time that I'm spending with them. And so that's when the business officially started.
Wow, that's great. So it seemed like it was a gradual, because I didn't realize the whole beginning you were doing this just out of your own generosity, which is kind. But I think that's really admirable about how you're also considering how your family feels too, because sometimes we can get lost in the sauce when it comes to focusing on businesses, and it's always about a good balance. So I'm so happy to hear that.
Oh, I love what you said, lost in the sauce. I am going to use that. I was so lost in the sauce. And I think it's easy as entrepreneurs because, face it, we have higher levels of anxiety, most of us, and higher levels of depression in the entrepreneurial soul. And it's easy to use that entrepreneurial journey and get lost in the sauce and cover up areas of our life that are not successful. And I think it's really important as entrepreneurs that we talk about that. And I do not want my business to be a cover for an unsuccessful family unit. And I don't want it to be a cover for unsuccessful areas in my life. And so it's important that we do have that balance. And I love what I do. And I literally could do it all day. All day long. I need that balance. I need that time to take care of myself. I need that time to connect with those grandbabies and check in with them and to connect with my adult children. And so being lost in the sauce is a beautiful way to describe an entrepreneurial journey that's covering up broken parts of your life. Mm-hmm. And so as I've reclaimed that balance on my entrepreneurial journey, it's actually helped my business to thrive.
Wow. So on your website, I see you have 2 other people on your team. Did that come about? It's about trying to create more balance with things growing more than you handle? How did that come together?
I need to update that website because I have lots more people on the team.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's a note to self. I need to take some action and get that updated because I literally could not do what I do without team. There are so many people that have skills better than I to focus on technical aspects and marketing aspects and packaging aspects. And so my goal is that I'm focused on doing what I do best, and I'm hiring other people when it's something that I don't understand, because I want to really focus in my given area of strengths, and technical stuff is not my given area of strengths. And so anytime that I'm in something that I'm like, you know what, I could figure this out, but it wouldn't be a good use of my time, that's when I hire somebody to help me, because they could do in 5 minutes what it might take me 5 months to research. For example, Facebook ads. I spent years upon years trying to figure out Facebook ads. Mm-hmm. And that is not how my brain works. And I really don't care about Facebook ads. I like to be with people and connecting and loving on people. Those Facebook ads help me connect with more people. And it wasn't until I finally got smart and realized I need to hire my Facebook ads out. And now I have a Facebook team and they do it beautifully and they love it. And they help me reach new people and more people. But I gave up finally trying to be everything in my business and realized I'm never going to be good at Facebook ads. And I'm okay with that. I don't want to be good at Facebook ads. I would much rather be loving and connecting with my clients than figuring out how to feed the Facebook algorithm.
Hey, you, with the earbuds in their ear. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? When I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. I like to upload my episodes directly to the app and then promote. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it. Go to anchor.fm/start to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
I think that's wonderful just to know what your strengths are, because I think sometimes for myself, I try to be a Jill of all trades, Jack of all trades. And there's just sometimes you need to know my strengths are here and it's okay that I'll give another opportunity for someone else. So, and I think that's probably even empowering as an entrepreneur, just to know that you're able to do that where you are at with your business too.
I think the other thing for me too, in that I have different passions now that fuel the business compared to when I started. And some of them are exactly the same. I never knew that I loved creating a workspace that people love to work in. I love giving people freedom in that workspace. So I have a support specialist, Shelly, and the woman just rocks my world on a daily basis. She just remembers so many details that I forget about. And she helps me show up in the right place at the right time with the right topic. Mm-hmm. And I love creating a job that she has freedom within. If she's not feeling well, oh my gosh, go take care of yourself. Yeah. And she said to me the other day, Kristen, I've never been in a job where they respected my needs. And I love that. I love creating a space where other people can create freedom within their job and create balance in their own lives. So I don't want that just for me. I want that for the people that are on, and we call it Team Good Life. And I want that for the people on Team Good Life also. And so that really fuels me now, because I realized, oh, this isn't a common thing. That when people are sick, we want you staying home. Don't come to work and push to get done. Stay home, take care of yourself, get better, and then come back to work. And so those little things like that now fuel me in creating opportunities and jobs for people. And I never dreamed that that would be as much of a passion to me as it is now.
Yeah, that's wonderful that, well, to me, what I observe, your core values, what you do for your business and your customers, that it also applies to the people who work for you. So it's just, I just get this genuine feel that it's authentic of the well-being of everybody. That
authenticity is so important to me, and even more important now, because as the business has grown, I've had these people that I've looked up to for years. And just, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. And now that I'm sitting at the same table that they are, I realize, You are all talk. And you just say that just to say it because it sounds like the right thing that people want to hear. And it's really helped me sitting at bigger tables, being with those people and hearing the back discussion. It's helped me cement in even more how crucial authenticity is to me. And please know, it's not that I'm living it perfectly. I am on the journey, though, with my feet pointed in that direction, and my team is also. And that authenticity of how I do business is 1,000 times more important to me than how much business I do. And making sure that we are as authentic as possible is crucial. And again, it doesn't mean that I'm perfect, that 100% of perfection goes in my mouth for food. My girls came, I had a bowl of ice cream. I enjoyed that with my girls. I'm not saying perfection, but that being authentic. And if I'm saying I'm creating this here, I better darn well be creating it for the people that work at Living the Good Life.
That's wonderful. So your journey as an entrepreneur, has the fact of you being a woman, has that ever come into your mind, or any challenges you faced, or were you just more like, this is what I want to do? Did you ever have experiences where your gender came as a challenge sometimes?
Oh, has there been? So, for example, I am a very heart-led person. And sometimes I make business decisions not based on numbers, but based on it's the right thing to do. And we had the hardest time finding accountants that understood that and respected it. And we finally have an accountant now that understands this may not make sense number-wise, but it's still happening because it's the right thing to do. And so that finding those people to put on your team that really reflect your core values is crucial. It was really apparent how different I ran my business when I wanted to get, and I'm so grateful now it didn't work. I wanted to get a small business loan. So the SBA administration, and I went to the banker and I had my magnesium and I was telling him all about it and not realizing that banker didn't want my story. He wanted my numbers. And I'm not focused on the numbers. I'm focused on the people. But I realized, and he kind of laughed at me and said, enough of your story. Where are your numbers? And so I realized I needed to be more prepared. And I said, I'll come back with my numbers. And I will never forget the day sitting there in that chair. And he said, your numbers aren't strong enough for us to invest in you. We need a higher profit margin. You need to do one of two things. You need to water down your magnesium, or you need to up your price. And neither of those were acceptable to me, because watering down the magnesium meant that people wouldn't get the benefit of soaking in magnesium. And that is one of the things and the values that our family has always held. And we say to people, we will not water down this magnesium, because people will come back and say, I've soaked in magnesium before, but I never experienced that. And the reason is they don't have to tell you, the way the FDA laws are written, they don't have to tell you they're adding more water to that magnesium chloride. And so we've always told people, we will never water it down, because our goal is for you to create optimal health. And so I realized as that banker was talking to me that his goals and my goals didn't align, and that I just needed to get creative in bringing in more magnesium to keep that cost level down, and that I didn't have to do it with a banker. And so, and he looked, I'll never forget when he looked at me and he said, you women and your stories, you got to focus on the numbers. And I disagree with that. I absolutely disagree with that. And we have been able to focus on the stories of the people that the magnesium has helped, and not focus on the numbers, and keep authentic to our values and still grow as a company. And that banker has now come back and said, hey, we'd love to get involved. We see the growth. And it's like,
I can't believe he had the audacity to tell you to water your product down. I'm so appalled.
He said there had to be more profit margin for what I was doing. And I understand where he was coming from, but he didn't understand where I was coming from, that profit doesn't drive me. I'm driven and I get excited to wake up in the morning when I get to be a part of a woman taking her power back and recognizing the thoughts that I think are so powerful that they help me hold on to my mineral status. That's what drives me. That's what excites me. That's what keeps me moving forward. And it's not about how do I create more profit value and take people for a ride. And understanding that I didn't have to work with him was empowering to me. Understanding that there are creative, out-of-the-box ways to do it it was hard, and I was discouraged when I left, but I knew intuitively this is not a good fit for me because this walks me away from everything that I've said that I am. And I went through a period of, well, maybe the business can't grow. Maybe you have to do that to grow a business, because at that point we were needing to hire 2 or 3 more people. And so, balancing payroll and expectations and serving people at the level that you want to, it's like this floating puzzle that you need to keep balanced. And I can remember how discouraged I was, but realizing he doesn't respect where I'm coming from because our core values are so different. And so understanding that working with people that respect my core values and how passionate I am about them is crucial to the growth of the business.
No, that's definitely a great point. It does matter who you keep around you, and who's on your team, to see what they're feeding you for your mind. And I just salute you for standing your ground and not falling to that, because I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs may think maybe this is something I have to do.
You don't. They don't. And if someone out there is listening right now, it's a lie. Do not buy into it. You do not have to think that. And if you will continually serve that one person, we had done a class and we were doing to get the word out, because I was really good at maintaining clients that I had, but I wasn't good at bringing new clients in to help grow the business. And so we decided to do magnesium classes on the road. So we went to all these different cities and it was incredibly expensive. And we did a class in Seattle. Now, I'd never been to Seattle before. I had no idea about downtown Seattle traffic, how horrific it was. And so we did our class in downtown Seattle. So we had to bring in all the magnesium. We had to pay payroll hours for team to come in and help me do the class. And, you're into the class $2,000. 3 people signed up for the class. Oh, goodness. 3 people. And I said to my husband, we are canceling this class. We cannot afford to do this. This is upside down. This is not helping us grow. Look at all this money. And he looked at me and he said, Kristen, those 3 people are important.
Oh, yeah.
And you committed to show up to this class. Get out there and make it the best class you've ever done. And you never know who those 3 people will be connected to. And maybe Melinda Gates will be sitting in this class. Yeah. Well, we laugh about that because him and I don't have much conflict in our marriage, but I wanted to not do the class. I was so overwhelmed because of the money that was going out. And it was incredibly overwhelming to me. I ended up doing the class. And in that class was Ashley James. And Ashley has a podcast called Learn True Help. And hers was the first podcast I was on. And she was so sold on the magnesium and got the benefit immediately right there in the class. And she opened that door for us to help thousands of more people who were searching for magnesium. And so if there's business owners out there right now that are listening and you're overwhelmed, get back to serving each client. because I made the decision with my husband's help because I was overwhelmed, but I did show up to that class and I served them and I did the very best I could. And that class was the turning point in our business. And being on Ashley's podcast was literally the turning point in the business.
That's so amazing how those things can work out. I was going to ask you for your words of advice for entrepreneurs, but I think that's it right there. And I'm just so glad I got to interview you today, Kristen. It's been such a treat. Just for our listeners, where can they find you? Where can they find out about you? Connect with you?
livingthegoodlifenaturally.com is our website, and I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook. And so I do a Friday focus. Every Friday I'm on Facebook doing a live, and I do a Tune In Tuesday on Instagram that I do a live there. And but the website, livingthegoodlifenaturally.com.
Thank you. You're truly an inspiration. And is there anything you would like to say to our listeners before we sign off today?
Don't give up. Take that feeling of overwhelm that you experienced today or yesterday and that you might experience tomorrow and embrace it. Be okay being uncomfortable. Sit with it and then take action. Women who take action are women who change the world, and we need more women taking action.
Truly, indeed, we do. Thank you so much, Kristen, for joining us.
I love being your first interview.
Thank you.
Fabulous. You did a great job. Yay!
I had a ball. It was great learning from you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hello, digital family. My name is Thorn and I'm part of the DelaFit team. We certainly hope that you're enjoying the interview thus far, and we'll be getting right back to it in just a few. I just wanted to let you all know that you can go to our website, www.delafitpodcast.com, to learn more about us and our host, Sun Moon Bae. You should also follow us on social media for all the latest information on future guests, show topics, and all of 360 degrees of fitness and health tips and information. On Facebook and Twitter, we're at DelaFit Podcast, and on Instagram, we're at DE_LA_Fit Podcast. Thank you and have a wonderfully fit and healthy day.
You've been listening to the DelaFit Podcast. Ta-ta for now.